between, or go forward or back to find everyone's pictures to view each student.
Please excuse me, what did you say we could click on?
Gallery view. So at the top of your page, I believe on the right, you should see gallery view. And so this is a opportunity for us to mention that also this week, we'll be also hosting workshops on advanced Zoom sessions, and those workshops will also help you to familiarize yourselves with the features in Zoom that can help to enhance your lessons. Okay. And so please, yes, please feel free to either raise your hand or, jump in and ask a question as we go through. Next slide. Okay, so for today, our learning intention is we are learning to create a well-structured online lesson using Zoom. And this is because a well-organized online lesson keeps students engaged and focused on the content they are learning to ensure optimal student success. Okay, so we have to, on this platform, keep students engaged and focused, and it's a little more difficult online, but that highlights the importance of having a well-structured lesson. Okay, and our success criteria, we used I can statements. I can recognize the 3 parts of an engaging online lesson. I can observe an example of a 3-part online lesson, and I can begin to plan a 30-minute lesson, a 30-minute 3-part lesson. And as you see, we have the agenda listed below.
So Keisha, I just wanted to add here that teachers, if you haven't heard, the expectation is that the lessons that you are creating, will last no longer than 30 minutes. Okay, so we don't want these maxi lessons. The lesson should only last for 30 minutes. And so the example that we're going to give you today is going to be a 3-part lesson within this 30-minute constraint. So if you've been conducting 40-minute lessons, 45-minute lessons, we definitely want you to bring them back. I know Jerry's P2, Alicia's P2, Timberlake, I see you on her, your P1. So our lesson today is going to be perfect because it's going to sit in the pocket of lower school. So it'll be really helpful for you guys. But just remember, you're looking for 30 minutes. You can now move into new learning. Okay, so before, remember, we are just doing review. We're moving into new learning using your scales, but do not go past term 2. Okay, so this is an opportunity for you to show up stuff in term 1 and anything new that you have not had an opportunity to teach up to term 2. Okay, we just want to be very, very clear about that 30-minute lesson structures. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so we have our 3-part lesson, and that pretty much all lessons will have 3 parts. There are other formats that have 5 parts, but for the most part, all lessons are going to have at least 3 parts in them. And so the first part, the beginning, or some people call it the opening, the part where you engage students, right? Where you want to focus the students' attention, you want to grab their attention and focus it. You want to stimulate their thinking, and you also want to access their prior knowledge, because it's important to find out what students already know before we engage in the lesson. I hope my birds aren't too loud.
Yeah, it's fine, Keish.
Okay, so this part, the beginning, shouldn't take more than 5 minutes, okay? So it's a short introduction. And as we go through today's session, we are going to go through each part of a lesson. Next, we have our middle, or our exploration or work period, which should take about 15 minutes. And so this gives students time to think, to process, to investigate, what they're learning, a time to problem solve or even collect more information. Okay, so this is the meat of your lesson, the core part. And so with online learning, you want to have activities where students are participating, where they're thinking, where they're processing their knowledge, okay? And so one term that keeps coming up for online lessons are absorb, do, and connect. And so when you absorb, you are either lecturing or teaching students something they're reading or they're watching a video, some way for them to absorb the information that you're giving them. And then when they're doing, they're doing the activities, they're practicing. If it's math, they're exploring. And then your connection is where they're connecting it to prior knowledge, right? Or they're collaborating with each other. And then the ending, or the closure, which we are also familiar with, should be about 10 minutes long. And this is where students have an opportunity to demonstrate to you what they've learned, or they can clarify understanding, or it's an opportunity to reflect. So each lesson should have at least three, we're looking for these three parts: a beginning, the middle, and the ending. These are the basic three parts of a well-structured online lesson.
Any questions that Keisha can answer?
Okay, and like we said, feel free to raise your hand or type them in the chat. The co-host at the time will man the chat and let us read the questions out so we can respond.
I see some of you are writing this down, or even if you want to take a picture, then feel free to do that of this particular slide.
Yeah, so your three parts, your beginning, middle, and end. Okay, so when we start, we're gonna jump in and start our lesson. So now you're kind of switching hats, and so you're becoming the P3 student. And at the beginning of each lesson, we will review guidelines. And it's important, you know, every lesson, just do a quick revision of these guidelines because it helps with the classroom management piece. Okay, so we're going to find a comfortable place to sit, okay, free of distraction. That is important. We want students to be respectful at all times in speaking, writing, and appearance. So, you know, we want to make sure we're presenting ourselves properly, you know, because all the rest of the class will be viewing this, okay? And we're looking at how we speak and write. We will inform our students to raise their hand to ask a question. So we will show them where the raise hand button is on the menu at the bottom. We want all students to stay on mute because that minimizes disruption and distraction. Other things are going on in students' households, so it's easy for distractions to take place. But they can unmute, and so can you during, you know, if you have a question to ask or the teacher calls on you to answer a question. Keep your video on during the lesson. Now this helps a lot. I know some people are shy, but with students, you know, as teachers, we use facial expressions to kind of gauge understanding. You know, we can tell not everybody has a game face, so sometimes you can look at students and just see confusion on their face, and without saying anything, you can go back and clarify or go over something. So we encourage students to have their camera on, and it also builds a sense of community within the lesson. So we do encourage that. And it also helps you to see who is focused. I viewed some lessons where, you know, in high school, students want to show the ceiling fan and, you know, the camera's on, but it's faced towards the ceiling. You can't see the student. You know, that's not good enough. We need to see your face. We need to know you're present. And do not take pictures of the video conference. And so, you know, this is also a safety aspect because not if I take a picture of everyone that's in this chat and I post it somewhere, that's violating other people's privacy rights, right? So, and also, you know, we have to sign documentation to show pictures of students. So we want to avoid taking pictures of the video conference. Any questions with these guidelines?
Keisha, I just wanted to add that as we next week start to move into asynchronous learning, which is teaching you how to pre-record your lessons, some of you might take the option, or you might have used the option for now, of currently recording your Zoom lessons. Okay, you might have given lessons already and you have been recording them. If you are doing that, then you need to notify the participants when they're on that, boys and girls or moms or dads, this lesson is being recorded, because you will then take that lesson and you're sending it out to someone else and they'll see those other people and those other families. And so to protect people, to make sure that they are safe, if once they know that they are recording, that they are being recorded, sometimes you might have students that might have better behavior as a result, but you might also have families that then will remain on their lesson but turn their video off. Okay, so if you are going to record a lesson, it needs to be stated in your norms so that the people that are engaging are very aware of that actually happening. So we're going to actually, I'll add it to the guidelines. It's something we discussed as a team, but we haven't placed it in the session. So just remember, if you are going to video record and you can see who exactly is on that recording, meaning that you're recording this within a Zoom session, then please make sure that your participants are aware that that is being recorded. Hence, we are recording this lesson so Keisha and I can use it later and improve our presentation, okay? FYI.
Yes. We have a question. Any direction given regarding getting permission to record?
No, we haven't received anything. Everything's kind of been happening so quickly. So that is something that we probably need to circle back to the ministry for. But I know in moving forward next week, we can give you some alternatives regarding what is actually viewed on the screen for the recording, because you can actually keep the gallery from being recorded. So we'll have to show you how to do that. And I think Keish and Shaquita will also be supporting you guys soon around how to use Loom, which doesn't actually have any of the children recorded, because there's no children. You're just going to be doing it by yourself. So we do have some alternative options, but I just wanted to state that while you're in this mode of maybe recording without the additional support on how to eliminate the participants from being viewed, just wanted to let you guys know to go ahead and let them know until we're able to give you some support around ways to eliminate that. That was a good question.
Yes.
Excuse me. Hi. I just sent that question because in normal practice, we definitely need permission to take pictures and record. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Lee. And Keisha had mentioned that earlier. So we'll definitely try to get that PD out sooner than later so that we can make sure. But I know that people have already started to record. And obviously they wouldn't have known legally that, there's some challenges with that. So we'll jump right on that and give support around that. Thank you for that.
So would you recommend that people not record until they have those permissions, or if they can get something from every parent real quick, a quick email?
Yeah, so one way that if I was recording right now without having the ability to access parents, I would have them on the original chat with me. And Keisha's going to show you how we're going to transition from parents leaving and us maintaining with the children. But in that part of the presentation, I would probably ask, can I start recording the session? And then they can put up like a written response, like next to every child's name, yes, 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 yes. So then we can use that as far as permission within the recording. So I would probably do that. If I was a teacher, I would do that now. So that's just a recommendation.
Great.
And I know in the past, some schools have their own permission slip that they issue at the beginning of the year in regards to photographs of students and also video recording, because with schools having websites now, a lot of times they get that permission at the beginning of the year, because throughout the year they're taking pictures of different activities that go on and they are posting them on their website or Facebook pages or Instagram pages. So some schools or even teachers individually have already done that, but we haven't had anything officially from the ministry level.
Yeah. That was a good discussion.
Okay. All right. So now a very important part is for us as teachers to have our materials ready, but we also want to give students an opportunity before we get right into our lesson to have their materials ready. So, they'll need a pen and paper, right? Or pencil and paper. So we say, students, make sure you have your pen and paper with you. Also the penny. So for today's lesson, we're going to be using a penny, but we would have told students ahead of time. So last class, we remember, make sure you have a penny for our next lesson. We're going to be using that. And so we want to ask students to make sure they have their penny with them, their pen and paper. Another thing we want to do is also ensure they know how to use the features in Zoom that are going to be required for this lesson. So during today's lesson, we're going to be asking you as participants to use the chat feature and the reaction thumbs up feature. So for your students, especially if you have lower school students, you want to ensure that they know how to access the chat, and they also know where to find the thumbs up. So the chat is going to be in the menu at the bottom of your page, and you just click on the chat option. And so if everyone, we're going to act as students now, if you can just type hi in the chat for me really quickly, so I can verify that you all know where the chat button is. And then also after that, just go to your reactions tab and give a quick thumbs up so we can confirm. Thank you all for typing that in, and give us some thumbs up so we know that you all know how to use it. Great, I see lots of highs and lots of thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, so remember, at the beginning of each of your lessons, it's very important to do this because we can't take for granted that all students know how to use the features on Zoom. Okay.
And additionally, teachers, you also want to use this time as they're typing in their hi and they're giving you the thumbs up, is to go into the participant tab at the bottom of your screen, bring that up so you can see everyone that's in your session and look next to the name to see the type of technology that they have. Make sure that they have the video and the audio, because as you're thinking about your lesson, if it's going to be a lesson in which you need them to respond to you verbally, but many of your children don't have that capability, you're going to have to swap up that part of your lesson in your head. You're going to have a plan B. Also, on the other end, if you're asking them to show you something visually, right? And you're noticing, oh my goodness, 50% of my CPs don't even have cameras on their devices. Then that's not an option you want to use, because you can use now the chat, for example, as another alternative. So like as we proceed in this lesson, there's going to be part of it which you're going to show me something. But for those people that can show me because they don't have video capabilities, or they might not want to turn the video on, for example, then they can put their responses in the chat. So make sure when you're launching your lesson, you got to make sure everybody's ready. You think of this as your classroom. In your classroom, you're not going to start doing something unless everyone's ready to go. Okay, so it's the same thing here. So Keish talked about what you see on your screen, but also you have the, you must check to make sure that they have the correct technology. And you'll see that within the participant tab. So if they don't have any of the materials, give them a minute to get themselves sorted out. Go get the pen and piece of paper, go get the penny, whatever, before you start to engage in the lesson.
Okay. Yes, thanks for that. Yeah, so while they're getting their materials, you can have that look. And when you do open the participants, the participants part, you can see, the microphone denotes that they have the audio capability, and the little camera symbol shows that they have access to video. Okay.
Any questions so far?
Yes, hi Tamisha.
Hi.
You said if they did not have the visual, what else could they do?
They can type their response in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you had mentioned something else about if they don't have a visual, then they can do they can do another something. I thought it was something else you mentioned.
So they can also give you the reactions, like the thumbs up, thumbs down. So you would have to kind of change your questioning as well. So if I say to someone, for example, I say, boys and girls, I want you to show me something that's blue. Everybody go get me something that's blue. They might not be able to show me something that's blue because they don't have the video. But then I'll change my questioning to be, okay, boys and girls, is the sky blue? So then they can give me the thumbs up and the thumbs down if they can't get the chat. Because in the chat, I can say, type in something that's blue. So it's 3 different ways I can get some sort of responses from the children. They're writing it, they're showing me, or they're telling me. So teachers, you always got to have the, a lot of tools in your tool belt to think about, okay, how can I skin a cat? This child can give it to me this way, this child can give it to me this way, this child can give it to me another way. Okay, so you got to be thinking about that when you're planning your lessons. Have those little questions written next down to that portion of your slide for the materials, for example, so that in case you forget, you know how you can be prompted for that. All right, any other questions? If not, we're going to jump right into our pretend lesson. All right, great. And Keish,
Okay.
then if you just monitor the chat, then we'll be good to go. Okay, so teachers, so this is our LISC. We're pretending, so of course I'm going to go into teacher mode, teacher voice, teacher everything. So boys and girls, thank you. We are going to now move into our lesson with our learning intention, our success criteria, and our TIB. So I'm going to unmute you, boys and girls, and you are going to repeat after me as I read the learning intention, okay? So we are learning to describe observations. You ready to read it with me? Ready, go. We are learning to describe observations. Right, that sounded a little wonky, but that's okay. We'll keep hope alive. This is because scientists, well, they make observations all the time, boys and girls, to learn about the natural environment and to ask questions. So today we're going to have 2 success criteria. One of our criteria is going to come from score 2, and one of our criteria is going to come from score 3. So I'm going to read success criteria, the first one that has the first star, and I want you to repeat after me, okay? I can recognize my senses.
I can recognize my senses.
That's right. We're going to talk all about sentences today, and I can practice making observations using my 5 senses. Ready? Go. I can practice making observations using my 5 senses. Good. Thank you so much, boys and girls. So teachers, now back into teacher mode. Just because you have the LISC up and you're not in the classroom does not mean, however, that you cannot engage your students the way you would in your classroom, okay? So they are still the expectation that they repeat the LI and the SC, still the expectation that you clarify and share it. So they might not know about sentences, they might not know what the word recognize might be. You might say, oh, boys and girls, in the chat, if you already know one of your sentences, can you type it in the chat? So you're still doing all of the things that you would normally do in your classroom to launch them clarifying or sharing or engaging with the learning intention and success criteria, okay? All right, so back into teacher mode. So boys and girls, what we're going to do today is we are going to review our senses. Yesterday we talked about what our 5 senses are, and we're actually going to review that using Simon Says. Now, I know you guys remember Simon Says, so you have to do what I say when I say Simon Says. And if I don't start off my sentence with Simon Says, you're not going to do it, okay? So in your reaction, can you give me a thumbs up if you remember how to play Simon Says? So can you show Mrs. Darrell, if you know how to, ooh, I have all of those thumbs up. Ooh, Cynthia knows how to play Simon Says. Alicia, Vernay, we're going to play Simon Says. All right, you guys ready? So this is what I need you to do. If you know, boys and girls, that your camera is working, because I can see that everybody has a camera. Everybody that's talking to Miss Darrell today has a camera. I would love for you to turn your camera on because I want to see what you're doing. So if you can turn your camera on for me, and if you don't want to turn your camera on because you did not brush your teeth this morning or you didn't comb your hair, that's okay. I want you to type it in the chat, okay? I want you to type in the chat. So now we're going to play Simon Says. So Kiva and Davin and Ms. Burgess and Jody and Shaquita, I don't see your camera. So if you don't have them, that's okay. But I want you to type in the chat whether or not you can do this, okay? All right, here we go. Simon says to touch your nose. Go ahead and do it. Oh, yes, Alicia, you are following directions for Oh, look at you, Jeree. There's Donna. All right. Oh, well, wait. Oh, there we go. Okay, hands down. Next one, Simon says to touch your eye. Go ahead and touch your eye. There we go. So remember, teachers, this is a P3 lesson. This is a review from what they had the day before, score 2. So we should expect them to have success. And as the teacher, I'm going to have my checklist. I'm ticking off. Oh, there's Tamara. She knows her eye. There's Denji. He knows knows her eye. There's Leanne. You understand? So teachers, do not think that you cannot be collecting FA. You're still collecting formative assessment data during this time with the students' names on it, okay? So let's try one more. Okay, boys and girls. Now, this one sounds a little different. Simon says to touch your sense that you hear with. Simon says to touch your, ooh, yes, look at this, people following directions. There
Great job, teachers. who
Do we
are
have it in
typing
the
into
chat, please? Ooh, they are following.
We have
Good
people
job, boys
answering
and
in the
girls.
chat.
Okay, so teachers, you get it, right? So I'm still formatively assessing. All I did was for them to turn their cameras on. I still know, if you look at your slide, you can look at the bottom, it says score 2 FA. That was our first success criteria. So remember, you're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We are going to maintain quality lessons still with SVG tenants, right? But within the platform of using Zoom, okay? So let's
And
push
just
on.
want to highlight,
Sure.
with that last question you asked about touching the sense that you hear with, there's people who are using the chat said they touch their ear. So when you're using your checklist, you can note that, yeah, they know which sense that is, which part of the body deals with that sense, because they were able to say ear, you know,
Right,
because
and
that's the
exactly,
part
and that's what I said earlier. You can see some of them responding, or you can read in the chat where they're responding, or I can say, you know what, if I use my ear to hear, can you give me a thumbs up in the reaction? You understand? So it's 3 different ways in which you can get a response from them based on the technology that they have. So if you guys don't know that with Zoom, all of the people that have the videos turned on come up first in the gallery. Once people start turning off the videos, they drop lower. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm looking for those of you that have the video, and then from Cynthia on, Cynthia, Denji, Miss Daniels, Jody, Shaquita, and Miss Burgess, they don't have the video on. So those are the 6 students that I would expect to see something in the chat. And then if I only have 5 of those students that gave me something in the chat, I'm going to say, Jody, I haven't heard from you yet, sweet pea. Can you give Miss Darrell a thumbs up or thumbs down if we use our ear to hear? Because it might be that she don't know how to type. It all depends on the students that you have. So you thank you, Jody. And now I can see that she gave me a thumbs up. So now within that little snapshot, I've heard from everyone. I eliminated most of you because you had your cameras on. The other people, Keisha said, came up in the chat, and I just used Jody as the example in case she didn't put it in the chat. They can give you the thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, so a couple of ways to skin a cat with that. All right, let's push on. So we know, just as the review, we use our eyes, our ears. I'm just pushing through because I don't have to teach you this. You know, we're just pushing through like they were students. So for the next part of the lesson, I'm still in the beginning of the lesson. I will talk to them about what observations are. We use them to see, hear, touch, and smell. And then we have a 6th sense that we use for things we wonder about. So just pushing through. I'm still in the beginning of my lesson. I'm going to go into the hook, or way in which to engage the students. So you will see an apple there. Ms. Darrell has an apple in her hand, boys and girls. I wonder what I would say about this apple with my sense of sight. What are some things I want I could say about with my sense of sight? Well, with sight, I can tell that it has red spots. So using visuals, teachers, that not only on the screen, but also visuals that the children see that you have in your hand, also help to engage students. Next week or week after next, I will be teaching a session on how to hook them and keep them coming back for more. It's just a way to teach teachers, because we're getting a lot of feedback about students not coming on, or teachers feeling like it's only one-way conversations, or the students seem like they're bored. So I will actually be teaching a session on how to hook them and keep them coming back for more, but using visuals, physical visuals are also one way. So still pushing through the lesson, so I could say, okay, oh my gosh, boys and girls, then I wonder what I could say if I touch my apples. But for me, it's cool, it feels hard. So that's another way, smooth and hard. Smell, still demonstrating with this. Taste, well, if I bite into it, I'm not going to lick it because it's got wax all on the outside. And hopefully it'll taste sweet. And then what do I hear? Boys and girls, I wonder what I would hear. I don't hear anything from my apple, but if I tap my apple, I hear it. Or if I bite my apple, I hear it. So I don't want to get into the lesson itself. I just want to give you more of the structure. Keisha and I want to really focus on the structure of the lesson. So that's how you would help to hook them into the lesson. So now you'll see at the bottom of the screen that the picture came up, bottom left-hand side with the penny. So I'll say, boys and girls, Miss Darrell had a chance to use the apple to talk about her senses. Now let's see. Remember, I asked you earlier to get a penny. I want you guys to get your pennies, and I want you to hold them up to the screen. So teachers, I'm not going to ask you to get off to grab a penny, but we need to see it. You want to ask the student because you want to make sure that they had that opportunity. Okay. Keisha had mentioned that in the material slide, that's where you check, but this is another one. They probably ate it in between the material slide and this one anyway, right? So let's make sure that they now have the opportunity to, because we know how lower school, little sweet peas are in the ers and the nerds, blah, blah, blah.
Spawn
So
it,
yeah,
drop it.
absolutely, right? So we want to make sure, okay, boys and girls, now I want you to get that penny. So you want the videos to be on as best as you can. This is another time you say, boys and girls, I need to see you. Show Miss Darrow that penny. And so during this time, we want them to start using their senses. So I gave the beginning of the lesson using I demonstrated it with the apple. Now we're sliding into, that was the beginning session part of our 5 minutes. Remember, hooking them, getting them in, assessing prior knowledge. You can use KWL charts, a mini lesson, whatever you want during that 5 minutes. So now we're moving into the meat of the lesson or the work period. So this penny is going to get us into the work period where they get a chance to collect information, make decisions, start problem solving, and actually demonstrating and constructing knowledge based on what we've already given them. Okay, so let's move on to the 5 senses, which this slide is just going to help them for the next portion of the lesson. It's going to provide the scaffold that they need. So I'll say something like, well, boys and girls, we're going to be using our penny, and I want you to look at some of those words that's on the screen, because you might be using some of them to help to describe your penny. So it's just a way to connect the beginning of the lesson using some of the words for sensory details or their senses, and then allowing them to connect that part of the lesson into the next part of the lesson. So Keisha and I want to be very clear that this is not about a science lesson. We're not teaching you a science lesson. We're just teaching you how to go from the beginning, the middle, and the end of a lesson to kind of pull it all together. And so there will be times in which you would have to leave on your screen something from the beginning portion of the lesson that's going to support the students in the rest of the lesson. Okay, so now we're in the middle of the lesson, and I would say, boys and girls, okay, so now we're gonna have to have a chance to talk about our pennies. I want you to look at your penny, boys and girls, and I want you to describe your penny, either how it feels. I'm gonna go back to that slide, the one I said is gonna support them, something it looks like, or how does it feel, or how does it sound, or what do you hear, what do you smell, or what do you taste? Okay, so just like we did before, I would ask all of the video cameras to be on, and then I would allow them to raise their hand if they want to tell me something about their penny using their senses. How am I going to get them to raise their hand? Well, they can within the participant tab. They can raise their hand within the participant hand, or they could just put their hand up and I can see it on the screen, and then I can call on them. Okay, so that's just a portion, and you want to hear from as many children as possible. You also want to have very close to you your formative assessment checklist. You don't want to let any child leave that lesson without you knowing that they have learned something. It could be in the score 2, it could be in the score 3, but just because you're teaching remotely, you still have to be hearing from them regarding their learning. Okay, so let's just push through. So they would have had the penny, they would have said whatever they wanted to say about their penny, and I could have started off by saying, okay, so if I look at it, I can look and see that my penny is round. I might call on another student, and they may say something else, and another student, and another student. Okay, so that's just an example. I'm just going to push through this because I don't want us to waste time on the actual science lesson, but rather the structure. So you just see the teacher would have the penny up, how it touches, how it feels when you touch it, smell it. So after you could have gotten some student responses, you see that the thumbs up could have come as a response to the children. Can you hear anything from a penny? No, you would have to roll it. You would have to tap against something for it to produce sound and sound waves. And taste it. No, you shouldn't taste it, boys and girls. You shouldn't taste that penny. Okay, and then moving on from there. So sorry, Keish.
Just want to add one thing we can do. We can ask students to continuously use that thumbs up button. So at the end of each sentence, you can just ask, thumbs up if you understand, because we want to continuously be engaging students throughout the lesson. One thing we did miss out earlier was to talk really quickly about the stoplight method.
Yes, sorry.
Ms. Darrow, you might want to explain more about that because it's something that you use.
Sure. So in my regular classroom, before I send homework home, I always have a stoplight system, red, gold, and green. The parents are aware of the stoplight system because it simply tells the parents what level of independence the child should have in doing the homework. So if the parents see a red dot or the color red at the top of the worksheet or whatever I sent him, that means please do not help them at all. They had a lot of success with this in class. I mean, it is 100% review for them. Do not assist. The yellow means you can kind of assist, but they should be okay. And the green means your child might need quite a bit of support with this. So when I used to send homework home, I taught the parents at Meet the Teacher that I use the stoplight system, red, gold, and green, and they'll see it on the top of the homework for the amount of support they have to provide. The same thing can be translated to your online lessons. So where you have the norm slide, and Keisha, I forgot to add it. I will for the next one.
I would, and Misha, I would say maybe even on the learning intention.
Yes, that's right. Yes, on the LISC slide, if you put the stoplight on there, so the parents can stay with the child all the way up to the LISC. And then the stoplight should tell them whether or not they need to stay on for the whole 30 minutes or not. You understand? So if you're creating these lessons, and we really need to think about the lessons, can the student do it independently? Because the parents are busy. They're doing other stuff. And if we're providing these lessons, we want them to at least be there long enough to get the children settled and then let them go about their business. So within the first minute or two, the parents should be there for your lesson up to the learning intention success criteria so that the parents are aware of what the students are learning. Then that is the appropriate place, that slide, to put the stoplight so the parents know, listen, this is a 100% lesson that the child can do on their own. Because you know they already know the chat features, or they already know the reactions. You know how you expect them to engage with the content, so it's no reason for the parent to be there. If you think that the parent needs to be there for minimal assistance, then you can highlight the yellow band of the stoplight. You got me? And if if it's green, that means we're good. You're here for the whole time. Right? You are with us. I need you there for the 30-minute lesson. So Keisha had asked me to just share that with you guys and how I translate that from what I do in my classroom to the online lesson. So in case you're interested in that, that's one way. But we recognize that parents are busy and they can't be sitting there as sweet peas all day. So first thing, devise your lesson so that it can be done as independently as possible, especially since you're moving into new teaching now, you're moving into new learning. We're no longer in review land. So that might just be a way for you guys to help to manage that. And then you just have to teach the parents that that's what the stoplight system means. You might have a red for your math lesson. They might be on yellow for your science lesson. They might be on green for your ELA lesson. So, you know, the stoplights, you can use them. But if you built the structure of the lesson one time using your PowerPoint, you shouldn't have to keep on reinventing it. So thanks for that reminder, Keish.
You're welcome.
All right, so as a review for the middle, Keish walked us through the beginning and the middle and the end. So just now for the red section, that's what we were looking at. An activity which gives students time to think and investigate to test. These are more purposes for science. So each content area will kind of lend itself to a different purpose. So you have to be thinking about that, because my middle part of my ELA writer's workshop will completely look different from that. Okay, and then the ending. So let's see if we can get to the ending. So we're just pretending again, you guys are back into student mode. So what I would do now, or the suggestion is, we now give students 1 minute, and we want to build in time within the lesson. And teachers remember this is really important. Think of time within the lesson that they can get up and move. It could be because their movement is directly related to the lesson, but it could also be just a brain break. You might have a brain break just sitting in the back of your lesson. That's a YouTube video. It's just a 15 seconds, wiggle, jiggle, get it all out, and bring them back into the lesson. Do not just have them sitting in front of the screen for the whole 30 minutes. Sometimes it can be directly related to your lesson, and other times it's just for movement. So for this one, for example, it is for the purpose of the lesson. So I would say, boys and girls, can you just go and get anything that you want? Now, not too big. Don't bring the TV in here, boys and girls. I want you to get one thing that's close to you, and I want you to show Miss Darrell just that one thing. We're gonna have a chance for show and tell. So you have 1 minute. Miss Darrell's gonna play some music. When the music stops, everybody has to be back in their seat, okay? So I'm expecting everybody to find something. So in the top left-hand part of your screen, you see the little rainbow. That is actually a rainbow timer. So if I hit that, it's gonna blast us to YouTube. It will count down from the minute and it plays a little song. Okay, so you can just find that on YouTube, but you can have that built into your lesson, which is going to give them an opportunity to get the wiggles and jiggles out. Okay, and so then they have a chance to come back. They have a chance to show what it is that they have that they're bringing back, and then show and tell me, oh, boys and girls, I'm going to try some people, and I want you to show me what it is and tell me using your senses to describe that thing. I'm just going to click on. Go ahead, Keith.
We have a raised hand, Kimberly Bean.
All right,
and we also had one earlier from Dawn Burgess. I'm not sure if she still has a question.
Sorry, because thanks, Keith. So I'm in and out of my gallery view, so I can't really see it. Kimberly, I'm just going to unmute you. Go ahead.
One of the things that I do to get those wiggles out, I tell them to go and look for something that has the beginning of their letter in their name. They'll go and run and get that. So yesterday I had my lesson and I didn't ask for it. And the little boy said, I have my lamp right here. They were ready, so I had to change it up. But
absolutely.
That's something that I do.
Thank you for sharing that, Timberlake. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, so whatever you guys can come up with, the whole idea is just to think of getting their movement, moving. We know that the lower down they are, the lower year levels, then of course, you know, we have to do a lot more movement. The high schoolers, middle schoolers, they can probably sustain themselves a little longer. I know we have some middle school teachers on here, so you know what's developmentally appropriate for your year level. Timberlake teaches P1, so that's completely, you know, appropriate for them. I was just thinking, gosh, if they had any hard letters, you might not see them back for the lesson, but you know, that's a good one to try. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Timberlake. But just think, teachers, how do I build into my lesson an opportunity for them to move so that, you know, we can get some of those wiggles and jiggles out. Thank you for that, guys.
And Dawn Burgess, if you still have a question, you can let us know.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about the tabulation of the yeses or nos. Does that do that, or I have to physically count? Like if I'm asking a question,
if you go into your participants screen, when you can't see it because you're just a participant now, but as the host, if you go into participant, it tallies them up for you.
Oh, it does?
Okay. Yeah, so you'll see, like, so even if they chose things like yes or no, especially when they choose things like yes or no, it will say to yes or no does the tally. I'm not too sure about the thumbs up, thumbs down. So they can go into participant and just choose yes or no, and it automatically tallies, so you can see ahead of time.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's also, you know, if you don't have yes or no, that's a feature we can show you how to get in the advanced Zoom training session, because not all people will have that show up for them, but it definitely tallies. And then something else you will learn in the advanced session is how to use polls. And so when you're using polls, you can actually, you know, put in a true false question or a yes no question, or even a four answer multiple choice question, and then that data can also be collected as well. So some things to look forward to in our upcoming training.
Yeah, so just as a FYI, the advanced training for today starts at 12:30. That's going to be Jenna and I. But if you can meet with us today, then you have an opportunity tomorrow. Shaquita and Shannon Rose Robinson will be conducting that at 11. Okay, so just as a FYI, if you guys haven't received that email to let you know all of the schedule for this week. So
yeah, and I just clicked on yes, and so when you click on it, even myself, well, maybe because I'm a co-host, but I can see a 1 above yes. So if someone else clicks on yes, if they have it in participants, right?
Yeah.
So it's going up to 3, and also beside the person's name, a yes, the green circle with the check mark comes up. So as the teacher, you can see which students say yes and which students say no. So not only do you see a tally, but you see individually who is answering yes or no. Okay, so it's very helpful. Also a formative assessment tool.
Absolutely. So at the bottom of your screen, as my closure, I would do a score 3 FA. So I would ask the child to share their object, to show it in the video, so I can see it on the video camera, and then get them to describe their object. So I would say, well, can you give me 3 different sentences that you can use to describe your object? And we would give them the sentence starter. I use my sense of sight to see, and then from my object, I see that it is round. I see, here's a highlighter. I see that it is yellow. I see that it's made of plastic. I see. So every child would have their own particular object. So you can use the ending of or the closing of your session in order to get another FA opportunity. So remember, they're just not doing cutesy lessons or cute things that you saw on Pinterest. No. You are being very intentional about the lessons that you are designing, that they match with the scales, that they have very clearly defined learning intentions and success criteria, and that you have built-in opportunities for FA. Okay, that's what you're trying to put together for every half-hour lesson. All right, so just as a recap, guys, we know that the lesson has 3 parts. It has 5 minutes for suggestion for your beginning, opening, and engagement opportunity for them to absorb information. You could just launch it with a YouTube video, for example. What do you think? What do you notice? What do you wonder of a picture that you put up? Something that you're going to do to prime the pump, to get them ready. You're giving them the vocabulary that they need to enter successfully into the task that you're going to have that will allow them to construct knowledge. Your 15-minute work period, and then, of course, your 10-minute of the closing. Now, something that you can also consider, I know for mathematics, when Becca was our CST, math wasn't structured by minutes, but rather structured by percentage of time. So I know that the middle school teachers that we have on here, I think you guys have 40-minute lessons. Primary, we have 30-minute remote learning lessons. So you want to structure your lessons so that the bulk of your time, at least 80% of your time, is going to be spent in the work period section, in the middle section, in the construction or explore or the do, whatever you call that section. The chunk of your time is going to sit right there. So if you want to do it a percentage way rather than the 15, 5, and 10, that's completely up to you. Okay?
Yep.
All right. So what we're going to do in the next 10 minutes, Keisha, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, and just to let you know, Tamisha, I don't have the breakout tab.
Oh.
Do you have the button at the bottom?
I'm going to stop sharing, and I think it should pop up for you. Let's see. You got it now?
Nope.
No. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll
still talk through it.
Okay, perfect. And then you just tell me what to do.
Okay. And so if you could share again.
Sure.
Can you share again, please?
Yeah.
All right. And so we just went through a 3-part lesson, a 3-part science lesson, and we looked at the beginning, the middle, and the ending. And so now, for our closure for this webinar, we are going to look at doing some reflection on what we've learned today. Okay, so we are going to use the feature of breakout rooms here on Zoom so you can have a quick discussion about what we learned. Okay, so we're going to discuss, when you're in your breakout rooms, you're going to discuss the current structure of your online lessons. You're going to ask yourself or explain or discuss the current structure. Is it similar? What you use, is it similar to the 3-part lesson we just described? And then you're going to talk about one takeaway you got from this lesson. Okay? And so if you're not familiar with breakout rooms, there's absolutely nothing you have to do as the student. But as the teacher, what Zoom will allow us to do is to split you into separate groups, to go into separate rooms to have your discussions. And so Zoom allows you to either do it anonymously, so it just lets Zoom break you up into groups and they just pick the names and divide everyone, or a teacher can intentionally set the groups. Okay, so that's an option you have, and that's something we can discuss in the future. But for now, today, we're going to do it anonymously, right, Nish?
Yes, we will. It'll be easier.
Yeah, be easier for the interest of time. We're going to break you into rooms. And so another highlight is that Zoom will allow Tamisha and I as the host to bounce from room to room to tap in on your discussions, right? So this may work better for higher students in the upper levels, but we can definitely monitor by going from room to room. Another good feature is that we can set a time limit, right? So we can tell students you'll be in there, come back in 3 minutes, or we can set a time limit. And at the end of that 3 minutes, Zoom will automatically boost the participants back into the one room, okay? So right now, once again, we're just gonna go over what you have to do in the rooms.
Sorry, Keith.
So you're going to discuss, that's all right, I can talk it out. You're going to discuss the current structure. I don't need this slide, Nish, but
Okay.
participants might want to see it. You're gonna discuss the current structure of your online lesson. So what are you currently doing? And then you're gonna look at how what you're doing compares or relates to what we've shared in this session today. And then you're gonna talk about a takeaway. And then when we come back, we're gonna have somebody from each group share. So we have 20 participants.
So I separated them into 4 rooms, and
Okay,
we're going to go ahead and put you in there, and then we'll bring you back. We'll probably give you about 3 minutes, and so you'll have a chance to discuss, and then we'll bring you right back. Okay, here we go. When it comes up, just accept the breakout room.
One more time, quick. Are we all thumbs up if you're clear on what you have to do when you're in the room, in the discussion room? Yep, I see some physical thumbs up. Awesome. I see some reaction buttons. Great. Okay, launch, Mish.
All right, so I'm only gonna give you guys 2 minutes. You gotta talk quickly, okay? Got 2 minutes. Okay, let's just see. Now, Keish, what comes up on your screen? I think I moved her too.
Nick says that we have 2 minutes. So I usually start my lesson with a review of what we've done before, and then I'll jump into the actual lesson. I try to do a mix of videos and interact.
Yeah. Like when we first get on, it's like 5 or 10 minutes making sure everybody's there, and then once you get started,
so if you're primary, you've already lost 20. I mean, you only have 25 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
After watching this slide, this is what we had to do. Do we, can we answer this question, or do we understand it? Also embed videos. But I just find for middle school, and I don't know about high school, but for middle school, it's like a lot of information to cram in 40 minutes. So it's like, it's a race against time to get to the closing. And sometimes you got to go to a closing before you really get to the closing of the lesson that you had planned for.
Okay, I'm going to close them all now. Unmute yourself. Unmute, there we go. I'm gonna close them all now and bring them back. I only gave them 2 minutes because we were so close to them.
Question about learning intentions and also about formative assessment with students because like P1 classes, because parents are sitting there helping them.
So then that's something that we can tell them at that time not to do. Parents, I need to see your son.
I tell them we'll respond during the
That was a good question. That was a good question. Okay, let's see if we can get everybody back in. We have, there we go.
Yep, they're coming
They're
in.
coming in. Come on in the room.
Tamisha, people had questions for you in the breakout room.
Yeah, they had
realized
questions
you had
in the breakout room.
Oh, I was just trying to pop in just to see like what was the topic real quick, and then because Keisha and I originally were going to get the original plan was 10 minutes, then we cut it down to 5. We just didn't want to waste your time. So we'll have a chance to kind of answer some things formally here. And then and then we can stay on. I can stay on for a few minutes before the next session starts. That I start at 12:30, just to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Yeah, and we also wanted to ensure that you experienced the use of a breakout room, because it is a ideal tool to use. And so any feedback really quick on your discussions, and then we'll talk about the questions. Okay, so we do see a hand raised, but let's just give 1 or 2 people a chance to share what they discussed. So you can just unmute and speak.
Okay, I think it's very informative. As an ET, I'm able to do a lot more checking in, and the behaviors that I've noticed before, I guess it's because a mom or grandmother's right there, has really diminished a lot, but I'm still able to do my lesson. The one question I had was when I do an activity and the annotation is involved as far as actually drawing or whatever on the activity, the worksheet or whatever, how do I get that back? I mean, I guess it's mine and then I just take it off.
Okay.
Do you understand my question?
You want to ask how to stop them from annotating?
No, if they're actually annotating, right? And so they've drawn or they've done what I've asked them to do. And so then if it's my worksheet, so then I just stop the share and that's it, right? And then I take it back.
Yeah, so
that's more involved. I would say, Keisha, if she can come to the advanced session, because that's a little bit more of an advanced answer. So Dawn, if you can just, or later on today at 12:30, we'll be back on, Jana and I, at 12:30 in a different room.
Right.
But that will be answered in the advanced session. And I think like when it comes to classroom management, because I think that's what's contributing to some of these lessons going from 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour or whatever. And it's just because, in my opinion, from what we've seen, teachers are having a hard time maneuvering through the features of Zoom. And so they're taking a long time trying to figure out how things work rather than structuring the lesson. So some of these lessons are becoming long because if the teacher knew that she could do this rather than that, then she can get a 45-minute lesson. But it's turning into a 60 minutes because she didn't know, oh, that's what I could do, and then that could count a few minutes out of my lesson. So I would say, teachers, if you have not availed yourself to the advanced class, please do. Because if now you have to know the features in order to have these quality lessons. So you can't have one without the other. So come on with us. We also have office hours every day. So if you had that question, for example, Dawn, you can bounce into one of the rooms that has office hours during that time, and they can also respond to that. So we're always available every day for those types of Zoom type support and questions.
Yeah, I'll be in tomorrow. I have an MTSS meeting actually, but tomorrow I'll be there for real.
Yeah,
thanks.
well, they'll love to have you. Any other questions directly related to the breakout and
responses?
Any others?
Okay, well, when I was in room 3, Kimberly had a question, and it was about formative assessment and I guess the validity of it, because a lot of times if you have lower school students, you have parents sitting right there with them, helping with answers. And so I said, we'll wait till we come back to the whole group, because this question, the answer will be applicable for numerous people. Right. And so during that time, we would just advise that you let parents know, listen, I'm about to do a check for understanding. Please, do not assist your child during this particular activity, because we're trying to gain a true reflection of what the child knows and is able to do. So we just nicely will ask the parent not to assist during that portion where you're going to use formative assessment.
And that's using the stoplight too, Keish. Because if you're about to move into that, then that's when you have the stoplight to say, okay, on this slide it's green, mom and daddy check you later type thing. You know what I mean? So so another way is to teach parents how to use the stoplight system so that you ain't got to tell them at all. You see the stoplight up, boys and girls, to you, that means you have to do it on your own. To mom and dad, that also means they need to do it on their own. So if you just teach them that norm, it's easy to maintain that, I think.
Yes.
I will do.
Okay.
And what was your second question? It just slipped my mind.
The learning intention, because
yeah,
one of the things when I see how you broke it up, like get them, involved. One of the things I do is, we start the lesson goes to 40 minutes only because I'm trying to make sure that every child answers and they're not feeling like I didn't get my turn. So that's a lot of time. That's where it goes. I don't want anybody go off and say, Miss B never picked me.
Right.
I had this here, a name in it, and I picked their name like that there. But the learning intention, when I say, today's our lesson is going to be about whatever, then I get them to say it. Is it very important that I actually physically put the learning intention stuff on the board to go through that? Because if I'm trying to cut time, like having it up there, they do repeat to me, but I don't have the learning intention written on there. Is that very important that I have to do?
This is why I would say yes is important, even if you skip over the slide. Because remember, you want to create lessons that you can record. There's going to be an opportunity for a child, hopefully, to see that visually at another time, to watch at a time that's more conducive to them. So having it there, yes, is important. So while you're teaching synchronously, you might skip right over it, but have that bad boy there. You know what I mean? So that when you do have it for the other children, they can see it. Another thing, Tamale, don't feel pressure to have every student respond. One of the things that I'm going to teach in how to hook them and keep them coming back is a website called wheelofnames.com. Wheelofnames.com. It's like a wheel that you spin when you go to the fair. And all you need to do is put all of your students' name on it and spin it. And Boogie, if it's not your name today, Boo, it's not your name today, okay? It's for other people. So, some people use the popsicle sticks, right? So you got something there. So just don't feel pressure to feel that you're going to have everyone every day. You might try to get everyone every day, but you might try to get, let's say, 60% of your children answering the score 2 stuff, and then the 40% is in the score 3 stuff. You know what I mean? Of the score 3 stuff. So don't feel pressure. That's one of the things we want you guys to come away with. This is not to stress you out. Everyone has a lot going on. Yes. Everyone has a lot going on in their lives. Please don't feel pressured. It's not gonna be perfect. We're never gonna have this thing right, ever. Right? We can just try to get better and better. So don't feel pressured. Like don't try to be super teacher. Just do the best you can. Okay, teachers, we believe in you. You're doing a great job. We know it's difficult. So just do the best you can and keep it moving. Don't feel pressured. Okay.
Yeah, one Ms. Burgess just shared that she uses that. So she uses the random selection tools, and she also pre-selects names in order of what names come up first.
Okay.
You can also, use your screen and just call on names as well.
Yeah.
I actually just spin the wheel before I have class, and they have the names picked in order. I shared the children already, but I told them because we can't use up, the time to use it. I just spin it, pre-selected in order, so what name comes up first, and that's how I used to do the breakout rooms too. It's like I'll pre-select doing the wheel, and then I already have the names ready to go into the breakout room, so I ain't got to think about it while I'm doing the lesson.
Yes.
Great idea.
Yeah.
And then those people that you don't call on today, you say, boys and girls, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. I didn't hear from you today, but I'm going to hear from you tomorrow. So that's just a way to hook them and keep them coming back too, right? Knowing that. And tomorrow, this is what I want you to do. Those people I haven't heard from today, I want you to bring something with you for showing. So you're going to go first, right? And boom, you're able to collect the data that you didn't get the day before in the next lesson. All right, some people are leaving us, Keish. So before we
I see. So let's just do that last checklist.
Sure.
On the last slide. Yeah.
Sure, no worries.
Let's go through that really quick. So the next slide here is basically a success criteria for us.
Sorry, Keish,
sorry. Basically a success criteria for us. So we can use this as a checklist when we are structuring our lesson. So firstly, we want to determine what students will learn. So we want to make sure we're using that proficiency scale or our curriculum document, like we stated in the beginning. We want to make sure our lesson has 3 parts. We want to make sure our tasks are engaging. We want to make sure they're appropriate and make sure, of course, that they're aligned with our learning intentions and success criteria. And don't forget it's still, we need to make sure we have the visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic part of our lesson. Students need to get up and move, especially our younger students. It's important, again, just to recap, have your materials and resources ready for students. Make sure they're accessible. If you have to do screen sharing, make sure it's open and you're ready to go. So that's all part of preparation, right? So we want to also make sure we have any documents we need, and we want to also make sure students know they have all of the materials, and that they know how to use all the features we're going to use. We want to set norms. So now we're in this lower half, and so these are things we're going to do during our lesson. We want to always set the norms. We have to reiterate them, just like we're in a regular classroom, and you may have to go over the rules for the class. We want to do that with the norms. You can also use them as opportunities throughout the lesson. If we see students are not following those norms, we want to direct them back to our norms that we set. We want to also make sure that the features that we are using, students know how to use them. They know how to operate Zoom, because that's going to help our lesson to run more smoothly. And we want to also, before we do that, we want to finally determine which features we actually want to use during the lesson, because us as teachers, we need to ensure we know how to use those features as well. So not only do we have to know how to use the features, the students have to know how to use them as well. So learning curve for everyone, but the more we use these features and the more we use Zoom, the more comfortable we get with doing it. And then we can become more creative with how we use them in teaching and learning. Any questions on this checklist? So this is something that's great to hear. Please take a picture of that if you didn't. It's something that you want to have beside you while you're planning, and also before and during the lesson. Any questions?
No, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay, great.
So teachers, as we alluded to earlier in the session, we are endeavoring to provide you with as much support as we can. Next week, we will be breaking or providing support based on content specialty. So next week, myself, Kanita, and Sharisa more than likely will be providing office hours for ELA. So when teachers are planning ELA lessons using Zoom, any questions that you have, you can bounce into our office hours. That schedule will be sent out. Jana and Kelly will be providing support around science. Shannon Rose Robinson providing support around the arts. And then we'll provide you some more information regarding who will be supported with math, social studies, foreign language. So just look out for that. So since you've had the training with how to create the lessons, then if you need any more support around how to plan and how to pull the trigger on them, then we'll be having office hours next week to provide support for that. Okay, so just look out for that schedule. And then finally, before you go, we definitely want you to be able to get PD hours from today's session. So you have two ways in which to do it. You can either go into your own URL at a time convenient for you and fill out the session. You could take a picture of it, of the website if you want. We've been having some issues with placing information inside of the chat so that it turns into a hyperlink. So we have it shown for you there, or you can just use your phone. If you have a QR reader downloaded, which I do, all you do is hold your phone up to the computer. It'll come up with the website, and then you just launch it, and then the attendance sheet will come up. Okay, so we want you to be able to get PD hours for this session. The only disclaimer here for the PD hours, fill it out as normal, but down the bottom it says, can you list one advanced feature that you will use that is really pertinent to the other advanced session. So you can just put NA if you want, or if you want to type in something that you've learned today, then that's fine. So don't get weary about doing when you get to that part of the form and it doesn't apply to you. There's two questions at the bottom that don't apply directly to this session, okay? So make sure you go ahead and do the attendance for us. If you're having trouble with the attendance, please make sure that you type your name inside of the chat so that we can fill the attendance out on your behalf. I know some people have already left. I hope Keisha and I, between the two of us, could remember who they were.
No, I was just thinking. I know April left because she wrote it in. Does anyone know? Or any one other person left? Oh,
I think it was Leanne as well.
yes, Leanne. Okay.
Okay. So teachers, thank you so much on behalf of Keisha and I and the rest of the SBG team. Thank you so much for joining us today. I can stay on for another 4 minutes before my session starts at 12:30. I have to go prepare for that. But if you have any questions for us, we can stay on for a few minutes and answer any questions, particularly about today's session. And if you have questions about Zoom features, then the appropriate places in the office hours, Kelly and Kanita will be manning that, as well as in office hours for today, just in case you guys wanted some support with that, is office hours started at 12. So if you're interested in that, it's I'll give you the number for that Zoom room if you want office hours questions answered. That's 559-851-7309. So if you want to leave us and have any features about Zoom answered, then Ken will be there to respond to that. If you want to come with me to the advanced training that's happening at 12:30, it'll be in room 819-087-9275. So there's the 2 sessions that we have left for today. That's the office hours, which are from 12 to 1, and the Zoom advanced training 12:30 to 1:30.
Sorry, dear, did you say as of next week we'll be begin new teaching?
Yes, as of next week, you are no longer in review. You are in new teaching that can take you up to term 2. So I know, Ms. Carter, your math. So you are to use your math skills from term 1 and term 2 to determine your content for the next, until the end of the term.
So the goal is to teach up until the end of term 2. And this kind of gives you additional time because now you have the rest of our school year to teach any concepts that you didn't get to up to term 2. So you're going to do the best you can to get through those. And if someone has finished that, then you can use this time to review and make sure that students have a solid understanding of the content in term 1 and term 2.
And remember, teachers, that when Keisha says that, when she means solid, she means a score 3.
Yes.
Okay, so use your time to get them in term 1, term 2 content, but it's score 3 on each one of those scales.
Yes.
Any other questions for us? All right, well, we want to thank you for joining us today. Hopefully we'll see you sometime soon. Remember, you can always reach out to the team at sbg@moed.bm. Have a look out for the email that has the office hours for this week and also the new sessions that will be offered next week, and we'll be able to provide you with any additional support. So we want you to enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Have a great